Coming up this hour, Ministry of Roads and Highways announces the allocation of an initial 4 billion cedis for payment of outstanding arrears owed road contractors.
Also, the ZAR New Patriotic Party in the Ablekuma North constituency insists they will not be part of the July 11 rerun of some 19 polling stations in the constituency since their figures show their candidate Naneke Uswefrie won the December elections.
Plus, Supreme Court adjourns hearing of an application by defunct Menzgold CEO and Apia Mensa seeking to halt his criminal trial at the High Court. Oh, those are the top stories. I am Kemeni Amano, and this is News Central.
And I am Mawena Egbeta. The bulletin starts right now. This afternoon, 2024 NPP parliamentary candidates for Ablekuma North, Naneke Uswefrie, is praying the High Court to declare as a violation the Electoral Commission's attempt to rerun some 19 polling stations in the constituency. Ablekuma North continues to be without a representation in the 9th Parliament, even as both the NPP and the NDC haggle over processes the EC must use to conclude the coalition process. The latest attempt by the EC to resort to a rerun has also courted the same reaction from the parties, with the NDC backing the decision, while the NPP says they will not be a part of the process. The NPP's candidate has filed processes praying the court to do a number of things which we're going to run you through this afternoon, and starting off with the relief she's seeking in the courts. The first, a declaration that the decision of the EC to rerun the 19 out of the 281 polling stations violates the express and pending orders of the High Court, which directed the EC to collate and declare the winner of the December elections. Also, she's asking for a declaration that the decision of the EC to rerun the 19 polling stations is arbitrary, capricious, unreasonable, and wrongful exercise of discretionary power. Plus, an order of certiorari caution the decision of the EC in that letter on July 1, 2025, and reiterated in that press release seeking to rerun the parliamentary election. And then finally, an order of prohibition directed at the respondent, that's the Electoral Commission, from proceeding to rerun the said parliamentary election in the 19 polling stations in the Ablekuma North constituency on July 11, 2025. So those are the reliefs she's seeking, praying the High Court to grant to her. But even while she is in court, the party has been addressing a news conference in the constituency. To be specific, the General Secretary, Justin Frimpong Kodia, has been speaking head-on, revealing what they believe is evidence backing the fact that they won the December 7 general election in that constituency, the parliamentary one to be specific, with more than 400 votes. Listen to him after going through all of the details, showing pink sheets with numbers both for the NPP and the NDC, and then emphatically stating they will not be a part of the July 11 rerun.
We have won clearly in Ablekuma North. So therefore, for us in the New Patriotic Party, we are pursuing the order by the court The court on 4th January made a pronouncement that the work of the Electoral Commission is very simple. Go collect and declare the winner of Ablekuma North. Go collect and declare the winner of Ablekuma North. And the Ghana police is supposed to provide security. The court never said go and do a rerun. Court never said go and do a rerun. The court said go collect and declare. So for us in the New Patriotic Party, we have resorted to go back to the court. Because what the Electoral Commission is doing is contempt of court. It's illegal. It's unacceptable. Because a simple instruction has been given to you. Go collect and declare, not go and rerun. That we have our evidence, undeniable evidence, overwhelming evidence to clearly show that we won the Ablekuma North parliamentary elections. And yesterday, when National Executive Committee met, we said that under no circumstances will we be intimidated. Under no circumstances will we be coerced to go for a rerun. We will not go for any rerun. The New Patriotic Party will not go for any rerun. We have won the elections. We have won the elections. What we are asking the Electoral Commission is to follow the court directive, to finish the coalition and declare our candidate Ekuafie as the MP-led Ablekuma North.
That's Justin Frimpong-Kodia, is General Secretary of the opposition New Patriotic Party. We're going on to Zoom right now and speak to political analyst and Associate Professor of Statistics, Professor Smart Sapong. Prof, I appreciate you joining us this afternoon. What do you make of this entire decision by the Electoral Commission to rerun? Now the opposition NPP says they will not be a part of the process. In fact, their candidate is in court already, praying the High Court to, amongst many other things, quash the decision by the EC to rerun the 19 polling stations.
Well, thank you so much, my brother. I think the Electoral Commission has done well in the past and even in this current election. And as an institution of state, we all owe it a duty to, encourage them and urge them to be near accurate in the conduct of their responsibility to the state. But I think in this current instance, if it is the case that elections were held in all 281 polling stations in Ablekuma North, in fact, this is Accra constituency. It is somewhere not far away where eyes couldn't have followed. And so, by the kind courtesy of your media house, we all saw all activities that went on in the Ablekuma North, including proper closure of voting on the 7th of December. Counting was done, and as at the time many coalition centers constituencies started doing coalition, we didn't hear of any polling station outstanding in Ablekuma North. What it means is that they would have counted each polling station in the full glare of the people who participated in the elections there, and then pink sheets would have been shared to the respective polling agents, and then the Electoral Commission would have had its own copy. So for me, what happens at the coalition center will not be much of a problem if you take the classical meaning of coalition. If the coalition could not go on at a certain center, it will still not mean the elections were not held at the various polling stations, and that representatives who went there as polling agents do not have, or the community where the elections was held and counting was done in the full glare could not attest to the occurrence of the elections. So if the Electoral Commission at a point would have a challenge finding some of its pink sheets, whether it was torn by the same political parties or whatever, what would be their backup system? What is it? Because once the elections are held and we all bear witness to complete closure of polls, I think the Electoral Commission will have to add to its lessons how to secure the votes that the people cast at those polling stations.
Right.
And not under any circumstance of attack or whatsoever, turn around and say, yes, elections were held there. It ended peacefully. Counting was done. Pink sheets were given. But for A, B, and C sake, I suggest we do rerun. I think the chaos in the
Prof,
system now.
What we know is that there's a challenge. There's a challenge with a number of these pink sheets because the EC's data, the pink sheets upon which they were relying on to collate the election results, was destroyed as a result of a number of incidents which characterized the 2024 elections. Upon that,
yes.
the Electoral Commission has asked both the NDC and the NPP to bring their own pink sheets upon which validation processes has been ongoing. In this case, there's been confusion, if I can use that word right now,
yes.
over a number of these polling stations. The NPP makes the argument that they've reached a consensus by and large over the initial 62 is down to 3. And so the Electoral Commission should proceed with the 3 and then declare the election results. The NDC raised other concerns that these were digital copies and could not be trusted, hence they were pushing for a rerun. Now we're seeing that the EC says they are going for a rerun. I hear you on what they should do going forward to prevent an occurrence like this in the future. But now what we have on our hands is the NPP saying they are not going to be a part of the process, yet from reports on the grounds, their persons as well are actively campaigning and seeking to win should that rerun come off on Friday.
Well, as an active political party, they would have to be ready for any form of election. Unfortunately, we hear of the passage of our brother, and so, however unprepared the political parties may be, they still have to. So it's the business they are in, and they must actually at all points be ready for an election, whether they are ready for it or not, or good or bad. But what I'm saying is that the Electoral Commission would have saved us all this chaos if at the polling station they had instituted a certain backup plan. And so they should add that to their lessons going forward. But for now, as we stand now, I think the court would be a good place for us to settle this. I've heard the argument in town in respect of whether the EC on its own could call for a rerun without a court order. I think the court can clarify that. I hear the candidate for Ablekuma North for the MPP is in court. That will be one of the things I'll be waiting for the court to clarify.
Right.
So that if the Electoral Commission on its own cannot call for rerun, and it must be an instruction of the court, then the court will so instruct. I'm sure then the MPP would want to obey the instruction of the court and may want to submit themselves to the rerun. But they are all supposed to be responsible for what happens. Both the NDC and the MPP mainly must take responsibility for. I'm not sure the EC on its own brought the chaos at the center.
Prof, just finally on the posture of the party insisting they will not be a part of the rerun. What does it do for the base in Ablekuma North and their supporters in that constituency as well?
I'm sure the leadership would be speaking today based on the sentiments they have picked from the base in the Ablekuma North constituency. And I think as a party, they can take that decision if they feel strongly that they do not have any confusion in respect of the elections that were held there and who has won. They can do that. And the decision, I'm sure, would be informed by the sentiments from the base.
Right then, Prof, we'll leave it here. I'm sure these are matters which will become topical or become something that's headed towards the court, and so we'll leave it at that, and then wait for the determination by the High Court. After which, I'm sure there'll be a lot more room for conversation. Professor Smart Sapper joined us.
Well, away from that, The Minister for Roads and Highways, Kwame Ablekuma, has disclosed government will be paying contractors a total of 4 billion cedis for projects executed. Now, this amount is a fraction of the 21 billion cedis the Mahama administration inherited in debt to road contractors. Now, President John Dramani Mahama yesterday disclosed road contractors, some of whom have abandoned road projects, will soon be paid. Addressing the media, Kwame Ablekuma disclosed the project's audit commissioned by the new administration has now been completed, hence the decision to commence payments this month. Oh, we can now take a listen to the minister as he assured road contractors some 4 billion cedis will be paid. Oh, we apologize. We are unable to bring you that insight at this time. But we also know that the minister disclosed road projects under the Big Push agenda will commence this month. According to the Adaklu MP, some ongoing projects, such as the Ofankor in Sawam Road, have been captured under the Big Push agenda. Ablekuma consequently charged the contractor Maripoma to ensure the inconvenience to residents and commuters are addressed. He charged the contractor to carry out the needed demolition to pave way for the completion of the project. Project manager for Maripoma, Engineer Abdullahi Mahama, assured the minister the challenges will be addressed within 6 weeks.
And we have actually improved the section under question. Yesterday, for instance, we used about 33 minutes to travel that distance as contractors. Mostly we try to do our own checks to see the time at which we are traveling that distance. Today was 25. This morning we had to come from Islam for this meeting. So we can just assure the general public that the contractors are mobilized to the site. We are going to intensify the works without any act of God, which is the rains. We are quite sure that within the next 6 weeks, that whole stretch would have been completed with the blacktop. If the GPRT are aware, from the Sansan towards Accra, the contractor has actually finished with the cement stabilized. Now, the reason why we actually blocked that section is that when we introduce the cement stabilized, it has to cure before we can allow load to come on in. So anytime you see that we have blocked a section, it's just because we don't get the time to communicate with the motorists. But once we introduce cement onto the material, it has to go through a process before we can allow the traffic to move on it. So by the next 6 weeks, hopefully, we can finish that stretch. So I'm sure that some of them have used the place yesterday and today. It has been a very great improvement. In fact, my honorable MC told me on Friday that he sent a driver to come to Accra. And when he called the driver, within a matter of some minutes, the driver was already in Accra. He was actually amazed. And I told him that yes, we have actually started to improve the sessions. So that's what we can tell the motorists and the general public as of now.
Well, let's go back to the Roads Minister when he made the comment about some 4 billion cedis being paid for road projects already executed.
On the bigger issue of how do we address the payment to contractors, since we have already admitted. If you listen to His Excellency the President of the Republic yesterday, he indicated that towards the end of this month, the Finance Minister would be taking steps to retire some of the debt owed contractors so that they can go back to site and complete the work. On record, we are intending to pay some 4 billion Ghana cedi towards retiring part of the 21 billion from this month. I have no doubt that will be on record to be one of the biggest payments at a particular time, to make sure that we are serious about clearing the debt, and then also paying for, or making provision to start the new works we are talking about. It is not appropriate for us to basically sit unconcerned for this to happen, since we have very scarce resources. So it is very clear that the finance minister was doing the right thing by making sure that when we have certificates at road fund, those certificates are not repeated in the books of Ghana government at another level, where we'll end up paying twice for the same project. So there's no doubt that government is committed and will continue to prioritize paying for road works done. We fully understand the frustration of the motoring public, transporters, drivers, when they have to endure very challenging roads, especially the ones I've talked about, and elsewhere across the country.
I'll bring on now Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Chamber of Construction Industry, Emmanuel Cherry. Emmanuel, this is refreshing news, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very refreshing. We must first of all thank God Almighty for such a day, and then to thank God for the life of His Excellency, the President John Dramani Mahama, for coming out to such a very heartwarming statement to us.
I see. Now, this 4 billion cedis that has been announced to be paid to contractors, what are the modalities? Do you know?
Yeah, one thing that first of all needs to be clear is that in as much as the President has promised that he's going to make payment before the close of this month, which is very refreshing, we must also not forget that there are certain bottlenecks that need to be cleared. Number one about that is about, how do you call it, a road fund board composition. The road fund, as we speak now, per an act, needed to be put in place. As we speak today, there is nothing of that nature. So we are pleading that in as much as the President is looking up to payment to contractors, that particular constitutionally mandatory body must be put in place so that quickly they can come and then look into the books, have appreciations of how the industry plays, and then do what the needful as the President promised. Without that, at times it's going to be a bit difficult for especially those on the road fund portfolio. But as for consolidated fund, that one, as long as the funding is coming from finance, we have no problem about that. So therefore, we are pleading with the minister to try as much as possible as a matter of urgency to make sure that, how do you call it, that obligation is being honored as a matter of urgency as we speak now. Because without that, there's not going to be clarity. Because for road fund, their responsibility is to make sure that how much money comes in, how much money is going out, and then the ask of who should be paid and what have you.
I see.
So that becomes a constitutional obligatory. So therefore, government must look into that direction as well.
Very well, Emmanuel, the intention behind this 4 billion cedis is so that contractors will return to some abandoned projects. Considering that this 4 billion cedis is only a fraction of the 21 billion cedis owed contractors, from the previous administration, is this enough to get you to return to work?
It depends upon the type of work we are talking about here. And then the lobbying skills of the government of the day. So as we speak now, as being stated, the portfolio is quite huge. 4 billion, yes, good, but it's not that much that convincingly can move a number of contractors to go to site to do what is expected. So therefore, it depends on how government will approach as the contractors, the consultants, for us to be able to have that confidence in government to move accordingly. So if that happens, then we are good to go. But until then, it will be a bit difficult, because if you should, let's take it for instance, the portfolio before the ministry is 10 million Ghana cedis, and the government has paid you 3 million. You and I know that contractors, we work with other agencies, it's what they call it, service holders and what have you. So therefore, if your money is being paid, and then today the announcement goes that contractors are being paid, and irrespective of the amount being paid to a contractor,
Very well.
Everybody will be matching to each contractor, every contractor that they believe that owes them to take their money. Meanwhile, the amount in question has not been complete. So it brings problems to the contractor. So if the contractor is to go back to the same people, expecting that they should support for him to go and complete those works or do a different work, becomes a very difficult. So that is some of the issues that we table before the Minister for Roads and Highways, and then expecting that will escalate it to the Minister for Finance and then the Bank of Ghana governor. Because there is a proposal we have tabled. If that works, then we are good to go.
Very well, Emmanuel, we'll leave it here. Thank you so much for talking to us. Emmanuel Cherry is CEO of the Ghana Chamber of Construction Industry. Now, we'll turn attention to something else because the Northern Sector chapter of the National Cargo Drivers Union this afternoon is calling on government through the Roads Minister to exempt trucks carrying foodstuff from being weighed. According to them, their members pay unrealistic fines for overloading food items, which they describe as unacceptable. Speaking to the media after submitting a petition to the overlord of Dagbon, Yalna Abubakar II, the drivers strongly believe that the cost of transporting food items accounts for the high food prices in the country. We can now connect with our northern region correspondent, Christopher Mwako, to give us some insight on this matter. Christopher, I mean, considering that overloading your cargo is against the law, but these drivers are asking for exemption. Explain to us what exactly they mean.
Yes, so Kemini, basically what they are saying is that if you look at transporting food items from the farm gate to the market, it's very tedious. And so they cannot go to one person's farm just because they will be weighing their load along the chain of transportation. They will leave some of the food items which will go bad. And so government should look at exempting cargo trucks that transport food items to the market centers so that it will also further reduce the cost of food items. Because if you look at how much they pay when they go to the axle weighing points, it is very expensive. And so they add these charges to the prices of the food items, making it very expensive for consumers. And so they are appealing to the Roads Ministry as well as government to ensure that the weighings they do along the transportation chain is removed, so that when they are transporting food items, they go without actually going through the weighing processes just because it's food items. They are not talking about other commodities, but they are only talking about food items. Let's take a listen to what the leadership of the Cargo Drivers Union have been saying.
The Cargo Union of Northern Region, Savannah Region, Volta Region, Northeast, and then Oti Region. We are having this problem. At the south there, when they load, let me say, for example, tomatoes, they don't go to the scale list. When they load, they don't go to scale. Cassava. When they load cassava, they don't go. But we, as cargo unions in the northern region and the regions that I've mentioned, if you carry yam, they will force you to go to the granite or granite. They will force you to go there. But when you wait, and yam, we don't take yam at one place. We normally go to bush, and bush there's no scale there. There's no scale in the bush there. When you come to town, then they say you have overloaded. And you don't have scale to load to know that what I've taken is over the ton. So that is why we are appealing to the government. It should at least remove the scales on the road for us, we the cargo people in the regions.
And Christopher, they sent a petition out today. Who did they give this petition to? What did the recipient of the petition say?
Yes, so the overlord has given the assurances that he is going to forward the petition to the relevant authorities, but has also added his call that in recent past, the prices of food commodities have been high and consumers have been crying as a result of that. So the government should reach that agreement with the cargo drivers so that when the food items get to the market, the consumers can easily buy.
Very well, we'll leave it here. Thank you so much for talking to us. Christopher Mwako is our Northern Region correspondent.
Now, the Supreme Court has adjourned hearing of the application of defunct Menzgold CEO Ablekuma North, known popularly as Nam1, seeking to halt his criminal trial at the High Court pending the final determination of his appeal. The Court of Appeal in May unanimously dismissed Nam1's application to stay proceedings pending the determination of an appeal challenging the High Court's ruling ordering him to open his defense. Nam1 escalated the matter to the Apex Court. However, in court on Tuesday, July 8, court clerk at the Apex Court announced that the case has been adjourned to July 29. The embattled CEO and his two companies, Brew Marketing Consult and Menzgold Ghana Limited, are facing 39 counts of charges, including selling gold without a license, operating a deposit-taking business without approval, inducement to invest, defrauding by false pretenses, one that I'm sure rings a loud bell, and then fraudulent breach of trust, and money laundering. Lord Idwasari is in court for us. He is joining us via phone. Lord, a bit more on this. The hearing was not scheduled for today at all. Reason for its adjournment?
Right, Marina. So essentially, the Supreme Court, the Apex Court, was supposed to hear Ablekuma North repeat suits. Now, this suit has to do with his application to stay proceedings, and like you indicated earlier, he first went to the appeals court after the High Court ruled that he should open his defense. Now, he filed that appeal, urging the High Court to stay proceedings until the final determination of his application is determined. And once the appeals court dismissed that, then he escalated it to the High Court. So essentially today, we're supposed to hear that repeat application by Nam1, but that didn't even come on. He was in court himself. His lawyer was late, and so his lawyer was not in court at the time that the case was called. The clerk just stood up and announced that his case will not be heard, and then scheduled a date, gave a date, which is July 29, for this application to be heard by lawyers of Nam1. Now, I caught up with him to pick his thoughts, so now we can listen to him, especially Marina, in light of the fact that you realize that in these past few days when Aguada was incarcerated, Nam1 was trending on Twitter, I should say. And so I wanted to pick his thoughts on how everything panned out for him, in addition to what happened in court today. You can take a listen.
Right.
You're expecting your appeal to be heard. It wasn't heard. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, so this wasn't the appeal.
Okay.
This was repeated whatever, you know.
Okay.
So the determination that we had at the appeals court,
yeah,
you know, wanted the Supreme Court to have a remedial of that, you know. So I just feel that everything has been adjourned. And so we'll just go and then come back on the next business dates, you know, to hear what the pleasures of the court are.
I mean, just this past few days, your name has come up, especially with the incarceration of Patricia Sedwa.
Let's not give praise to that. Let's not give praise to that.
Okay.
We have a case to defend.
Yeah.
And then we are doing absolutely just that. This is the beauty of constitutionalism. The very law that brings me here, you know, compels me to come here each and every time that I'm about to. It's the same law that gives me the right to appeal, you know, as and when, you know, I have to. So basically, that is it.
Okay.
You know, so let's not give no credence to that.
All right, sure.
Thank you so much, my brother.
All right.
That's an Ablekuma North in that interaction with my colleague, Lord Idwasari, who's our court correspondent.
Now, President John Mahama has officially launched the Gold Board Task Force, declaring that it is time for Ghanaians to take full ownership and control of the gold mining sector. The task force, according to government, is aimed at safeguarding the country's mineral wealth. Speaking at the inauguration ceremony held at the National Security Secretariat, the president stated that Ghanaians should not only work in the mining industry, but also own gold mines and lead gold production for export.
Now, if we're to create prosperity for our people, then it means that we must take greater control of our natural resources. And it's not only Ghana that is taking greater natural control of its resources. There are examples where countries guard their natural resources. Botswana is an example. You can't export one single diamond out of Botswana without committing a crime. And so Botswana, together with its foreign partners, exports all the diamonds to the international market, and the money comes back to Botswana. This was not the case with our natural resource, gold. And indeed, other resources. We are discovering many other minerals in Ghana. And we believe that Ghanaians must be the first beneficiaries of the natural resource blessing that God has given us. So gold is just one example. We're going to make sure that in other minerals, Ghanaians play a leading role in terms of our mineral exploitation. And the time has come for Ghanaians to also own gold mines and produce gold for export.
Now, in other news, President John Mahama has stated that he will not make any decision regarding the suspended Chief Justice Gertrude Torkornoo until he receives the final report from the committee probing the misconduct allegations against her. Speaking during a meeting with the Council of State, the president said he is committed to due process, stressing that the constitutional procedure are being followed and that any action will be based solely on the committee's conclusions.
Undertaking your work in earnest, as the chairman of the council has stated. We've referred several things to the council for advice, mostly in respect of appointments to governing boards and other statutory institutions. And I want to thank you for the approvals you have given us and for expediting the work of government. It's helped us to more speedily than any government in the past have persons in place to begin to prosecute the reset agenda that we have. On the issue of governance, we've had the difficulty issue with regards to the suspension of the Chief Justice, and of course the Council of State was involved in a part of that process. And so we've done our part. The rest is left with the committee that was set up to come out with whatever its findings are. And based on that, whatever the consequential issues are will be dealt with.
I will take our very first break. When we come back, we'll bring you more news. It's still News Central here on TV3.
West Municipal Assembly, in collaboration with officials from the Accra Metropolitan Assembly and a police task force, has carried out a major enforcement operation targeting unauthorized structures in the municipality. The exercise has led to the arrest of some workers from Arab Construction Company accused of erecting buildings with falsified permits, according to municipal officials. Our reporter Deborah Abba-Mensah is joining us with a bit more. Deborah has joined us via the phone lines. Deborah, talk us through really what's been happening. We've seen videos of some arrests being effected and all of that.
Okay, Marina. So the Ayawasu West, where the Municipal Assembly, in collaboration with the AMA and the police task force, has carried out a major operation to stop unauthorized construction activities. And this afternoon, workers of Arab Construction Company have been arrested for building without proper documentation. So according to the Municipal Assembly, they are claiming they acquired the proper documents in 2020, but the Assembly was set in 2018, and they say they acquired the documentation from the AMA. The AMA is also saying they've never issued any documentation to them. So the Municipal Chief Executive, Michael Mensah, says this is part of a new phase in the Assembly's efforts to clamp down on lawlessness in the built environment, and he insists that such operations will continue until full compliance is achieved. Let's take a listen to.
Right.
Some action by your municipal assembly. What exactly is happening here? Why are we here and why this operation?
Yes, we are here because there's a building, as you can see, here going on without permits, building permits. Ayawasu West Municipal Assembly came into existence in 2018, but then they have a permit that was issued in 2020 by AMA. So clearly it tells you that they don't have a permit. Now they are building very close to the road, as you can see, very close to the road. And this is a huge structure. When it comes to parking, you can hardly tell if they can even contain the number of cars that are supposed to be parking here. So it's going to inconvenience the entire vicinity or people living around here. So that is why we are here. But then we have asked them to stop work several times, but they've refused. We came to write on the walls, they have refused. They turn our people away. Last week we were here. They are very adamant. So we are here to stop them, and we are sounding a word of caution to everybody within the municipality that if you have such fraudulent permits, come to the municipal assembly and then regularize your permits. We have several of those permits within the municipal assembly that were issued by AMA. Some were fraudulent. There are several buildings without permits, and we are asking them that they should come within 2 months to regularize their permits so that together we can work together and ensure that the right things are done. The days of lawlessness are over. This is an elite municipality, and we need to do the right thing so that we can attract more people into the municipality.
That's the MC for the area. Deborah, just finally, are they headed towards another area, or is just this one-stop place where the permit was a fake?
So for today, it's just that area, but they said it's going to be a continuous exercise, so they will be going to other places within the coming week. But today, it's just that area.
Right then, Deborah, thank you very much for those details. Well, it'll be interesting to find out as well a lot later if they are given a time frame to which persons are to regularize their permit. What will go into regularizing that permit? If the structures are on waterways, will these individuals just go and then regularize the permits and then get permits for buildings on waterways? These are questions that I'm sure will need a lot more answers. But right now, let's pave the way for Regional Hub.
To enhance power reliability and voltage stability in Kumasi and beyond, the Ghana Grid Company has commenced the reconstruction of the 161 kilovolt Angomaso to Kumasi transmission line. The project aims to address critical power evacuation challenges and support growing electricity demand in the region. Currently, power outages or maintenance on the line results in voltage drops in Kumasi, affecting businesses and households alike. Ibrahim Abubakar has been following the story. He's our correspondent in the Ashanti region, joining us with more details on this. Ibrahim, what can you report on this project?
Well, Kemi, like we actually mentioned, for some time now, part of residents of Kumasi have been experiencing low voltage and also even power instability. And this, according to officials of GRIDCO, is as a result of a single circuit 161 kV transmission line from Angomaso to Ahojo. And this is operating beyond its capacity. Currently, it has gone beyond its capacity and added even 71%. And for that matter, you look at the pressure and you realize that there is a need for them to double the circuit so that the power will be able to be stable and also very, very reliable. Now, with this project, when they are done within the period of 12 months, it is expected to improve power transfer, enhance the voltage stability I talk about, and also even reduce system losses, because with the current issue, GRIDCO claims they keep recording some system losses when it comes to distribution of power. And also it will support even power export to neighboring countries like Burkina Faso and the rest. And so it's a very, very significant project that is expected to boost power stability in Kumasi and also beyond. Let's listen to what the Minister for Energy and Green Transmission, John Jinapo, has been saying.
These projects made possible through the collaboration and support of the European Union and the Agence France de Développement stand as a testament to international collaboration that aligns perfectly with Ghana's national priorities. It will certainly contribute significantly and enhance power evacuation capacity in the Ashanti region. It will not just contribute to power evacuation, but it will also improve voltage stability and reduce what we call system loss. This certainly brings us closer to our ultimate objective and goal. That is universal access to reliable and affordable electricity.
Ibrahim, we know that the CEO of GRIDCO also spoke at this event. What did he say?
Well, exactly. They are particular about the reduction in system losses because, like I rightly mentioned, they are saying because the 161 kV is currently operating on a single circuit, it is contributing to their system losses. And for that matter, that's they are making a lot of losses, let me put it in that way. So with now replacing the single circuit to a double one, they believe that it will help them and also help with regards to power in the Ashanti region. Let's listen to what engineer Mark Ewaba has also been saying.
The project is not just an investment in metals and cables, but also an investment in and for the people of Ghana. It is about connecting communities to opportunities, industries to the energy that fuels and secures our national aspirations, to the realities of growth and development. We recognize that access to power is the backbone of socio-economic transformation. The work we commence today will enhance the resilience and reach of our national grid into the future by igniting new possibilities in the lives of thousands, not only in Ghana, but across our borders in the sub-region.
Ibrahim Udive here. Thank you so much for the report. And Ibrahim Abubakar is our Ashanti region correspondent.
Now, the National Service Authority is positioning itself as a key driver of Ghana's agricultural transformation, committing to the nation's Feed Ghana agenda. To reduce the country's reliance on imported staples, the authority has invested heavily in large-scale maize, rice and tomato production. By the end of the 2025 crop season, it aims to harvest these crops across more than 8,000 acres of farmland.
The National Service Authority has begun developing its newly acquired 20-acre farm in Setra From Plain district of the Ashanti region. Currently, about 2,000 acres are under cultivation, serving as a demonstration farm to train and inspire young Ghanaians to pursue careers in agriculture. Deputy Director of the National Service Authority, Don Kofsini, explained that the project is not only about boosting local food production, but also about empowering the next generation of farmers.
We train you here on the farm with best practices, then we allocate some of the land for you to become an outgrower. So we give you the seedling, we plow the land for you, you grow it. When you are successful, we buy from you as well. So that's what we are trying to do. So it's not just a farm, we are trying to create a lot of employment avenues for most of our youth who are interested in agriculture. This year alone, if we are not exaggerating, we are targeting around 6,000 acres of maize just for this season alone. Rice, together across the country, we are doing about 2,400 acres of rice this year alone.
Additionally, the authority plans to establish a poultry feed mill to further support the agricultural value chain.
We are also producing a lot of poultry now. We've started with about 100,000 capacity broiler at our Papawo farm in Greater Accra. Very soon we are going to establish another 100,000 in Ashanti region. So we'll need a lot of feed for them, and once we have this filled, it's the area we need to start producing our own feed for our poultry as well. So yes.
With these ambitious projects, the National Service Authority is said to play a pivotal role in Ghana's quest for self-sufficiency in food production.
And that's about it from us this afternoon. From our studios here on the John Hammond Street, I am Awe Naik.
And I am Kamini Amano. Next is the afternoon show. We will see you same time tomorrow. Bye-bye.